Hello and welcome back everybody to the Food Build Factory, where today we're going to take a look at the NCR Ranger. This is the iconic bastard you can see here on screen. We're going to be a hybrid between a Gunslinger and a Rifleman. So we're using the single action revolver and a combat rifle, which you will see later when I show the gameplay. So, later is now actually. So I'm going to show off some gameplay and talk about the build a little bit. Well, what can I say? Obviously, as for the lore behind this character, well, from a canonical standpoint, this build makes no sense. There is no NCR this early in the timeline, and therefore this character shouldn't exist. So, if you really want to create something that's lore-friendly, you should simply go for the approach of an elite soldier, which works well. It's also the explanation as to why there is this armor in the game. And oh well, hope we're not getting crowded here. So we're going to switch between the single action revolver you've seen right now and this here Junkie's explosive combat rifle. So the reason okay, it's a bug by the way, didn't want to be scoped. So the reason why I went for the combat rifle and not the anti-material like sniper rifle, the marksman sniper rifle, was that first of all the sniper rifle really falls behind when you fight Scourge Beasts and boss type enemies, so you're simply lacking DPS, which usually wouldn't be a problem if we had a decent backup weapon or something. But as we're also using the single action revolver, which has pretty much the same problems, I really wanted to have a decent go-to weapon in terms of DPS. And also I found that the looks with the dark matter skin works surprisingly well to recreate the looks of the anti-material rifle in New Vegas. So in terms of gameplay, it's obviously different due to the fact that the anti-material rifle was a single action rifle, so you had to reload every shot, and this here rifle is semi-automatic. But I didn't feel like this made it all that different in terms of gameplay. It's pretty immersive still, so you're still feeling like an NCR Ranger, and immersion is pretty much why we're not using a suppressor 2. So in fact we're not using sneak perks either, so this character is constantly switching gameplay. So as you can see here, we're using VATS as well as manual aiming with both the revolver and the rifle. So overall this character really feels like it comes straight out of an older Fallout game in some sense. So what I mean by that, well, in earlier games it wasn't like you could stay in VATS all the time, so pretty much every time you had a build you would always think about and evaluate situations and then decide if you want to wait for your AP to refresh in order to use VATS, or take some manual shots, especially with sniper rifles. So you're also able to start off fights with sneak, but as I said earlier, we're not spec'd into it, and therefore we won't utilize it to a big extent. So this build really needs some time before it shines, simply because there is a bit more skill involved than with other builds, for the simple reason that as I said, you have to make tactical choices. So you really evaluate every single situation and decide for which approach you want to go for. So do you want to start off the fight or the encounter with a sneak attack? Do you want to go do you want to go in guns blazing and simply use VETs to do headshots? Or do you want to go for torso shots maybe, so you are safe? Also, it's the character, due to the regenerating effects it utilizes, feels a bit more MMO-like, so it's you have surprisingly few occasions where you have to manage your inventory. So this is something that a lot of people don't like about the game, that there's a lot of inventory management involved, and that's not a big of a problem with this character. So you obviously have to manage weight and stuff like that, but in terms of raw gameplay, you're switching between two weapons. You never have to enter your Pip-Boy in order to equip a third weapon or something, and also you're not really using all that much stimpaks, only if the situation is demanding it, but most of the times you will get out of fights with health left, and after that your health regenerates by its own. Also, the semi-automatic receiver on the combat rifle makes it so that the weapon is effective with and without sneak. So obviously, as long as you're in stealth, it's way more effective. But even if your cover is blown, which happens, it's just a matter of time, you don't have that much of a problem, as your AP also refreshes very fast, and you can just stay at range. That's the thing. So obviously when you're crowded in spaces like, for example, the golf course, you really have to take another thought into it. So do you want to aggro the ghouls and lure them out of the compound? But for 99% of the situations, you can deal with them easily. Let's just say it that way. So you're also having the occasional VETS crit ready, but that's not a focus of this build. And even though it's not all that effective to fight in this game over a large range, it still can be fun to pick off, like, especially small road blockades from Blood Eagles or military outpost like areas from a range. Also, due to our high agility, that would mean that we can successfully stay in stealth for a long time before enemies see us, simply because we keep our range. So therefore we're using the sneak multipliers to our advantage here. The ammo is quite easy to obtain. We're using 45 and 44 ammo. So yeah, I hate assault runs. Their magic laser beams find you all over the place, even though you're in caution. But well, here we go. So as you can see, as soon as we're out of combat, our health starts regenerating really fast, I might add. So this is due to the regenerating mutation, but I know people don't like it that much, simply because it makes your chems less effective. But even though we are a junkies character, we're not utilizing chems all that much, and the only thing that we see is the effect that Red Away and Stimpaks don't have that much of an effect. But that's not really a problem, as we're not using our Stimpaks to completely regenerate our health. We're just giving us a small HP boost so we can survive a fight. You just need enough in order to survive the fight, and afterwards your health regenerates by its own. So what should I say? The gameplay feels very, very smooth, and it feels very true to Fallout. So I really got the vibes like I think my first ever character when I played New Vegas back in the days was pretty similar to this one. And it's really about the feeling. So in terms of effectiveness, there's better options for the build, both for the main weapon and for the secondary weapon, so obviously the single action revolver is a pretty bad weapon, we can all agree on that. We're just using it because it's so iconic for the NCR Ranger, and overall there's not even a reason why this character would ever use anything but his rifle. So this situation, as well as the last one, we're obviously would be more effective with our rifle here, but that doesn't matter, that's not the point. Like, it's all about immersion and how it feels like. We really want to feel like this NCR Ranger from back in the time, and in my opinion it works pretty well. It's something I'm not sure if it really comes through when we're looking at the gameplay here, but trust me when I say, if you play it for yourself, it really doesn't feel under or overpowered. So that's something you can take from it. Boss type enemies stay a challenge, but they're not something you have to wear down over ages and have to repair your weapons between fights all that much. It's pretty easy. Well, anyways, that was about it when we're talking about gameplay. So the last few minutes of the video I'm going to show off the equipment and then the perks and mutations. So let's get right into it. We're using shielded marine wetsuit here for strength, perception and endurance. Well, nothing we spectacularly need here, so we could benefit from maybe shielded road ladders or something for extra agility, but it doesn't really matter all that much. So we have one chameleon left leg with better sneak. This is pretty much every boost we have to our sneak except for our high agility. But as you could see, due to our high range, we can still use stealth to some extent. So on here we have 3 life-saving pieces. One of them has AP refresh and ammo weight reduction, but we're just interested in the AP refresh. The life-saving pieces, you can go for anything with this armor. What you want is AP refresh, and everything else goes. Like an auto-stim piece would be fine, Vanguard could be a good choice, or even bolstering. It doesn't really matter all that much, but having life-saving pieces on gives us just this other chance, and this regenerating chest piece here with AP refresh. So I said earlier that the leg piece gives us pretty much every boost to stealth. Well, here's another one, but to be honest, from all I know, only one harder to detect while sneaking piece is enough to max out the effects of it. So the second one here is pretty much, yeah, does us no good at all. That was it for the armor. Onto our weapons, we have this instigating explosive single action revolver here. So obviously, as we are a Junkies character, a Junkies explosive would work well too. But the instigating one, for the purpose we're using it, gives us just a bit more bang for the buck, so to speak. So we're just using this weapon to pick off single targets, and that we don't want to waste our 45 ammo on. We could prime this thing, would be a good choice, and on this weapon it actually does increase your damage by quite a bit, so it could be arguably a good idea. But as you saw earlier, it does its job as long as you're getting headshots in, and maybe even a sneak critical or general sneak attack. This weapon can perform well. Its reload speed is obviously a problem, but as you saw earlier, it's just a weapon for not crowded places or to start off a fight. We always have the option to switch back to our combat rifle. Speaking of the devil, where is it? Here we do have it. It's a Junkies explosive combat sniper rifle with the dark matter skin equipped. So as you can see here, we're using a compensator. Obviously we would be better off with a suppressor, and there's no good reason we shouldn't use it. But having no suppressor equipped made the weapon look way, I don't know how to say, but it feels like it has more to it, like it creates a bigger impact. And it also really fits the aesthetic of the anti-material rifle in Fallout New Vegas. So that's pretty much all we wanted from this here rifle. It's not spec'd completely for what we're using it, but it gives us a good way to use it with and without wets. And honestly, I was surprised how unimportant the suppressor was when we are at range. So that's that. Onto our effects here. We do have only 4 addictions. That's what I wanted to say. So obviously another addiction would boost our damage even more with our Junkies Explosive Combat Rifle, but I thought for the video this 4 addictions here are enough, and I didn't have the chems, so I didn't want to go on a collecting spree just to get 10 more damage. You saw the effects and know how they work. So I tried to choose addictions that work well with the character, but as you can see on screen here, I had to go with what I have. Well, Mentex and Psycho addiction are definitely a choice I would recommend. As same goes for alcohol. So the only real negative here to our character would be -1 agility, but we have a lot of agility anyway, so we can live with that. Colmex, well, this is honestly one of the worst choices for this character. I just had it on my character and used it because I usually tend to get addicted to Colmex with a Junkies Heavy Gunner or something, but obviously less perception and agility is bad for our character, but both of them are high enough so we can afford it. If I had to choose, I would use maybe Daddy-O instead of Colmex, and definitely try to get a Medex addiction. So that's that. Yeah, onto our mutations. We have a lot of mutations here, as you can see, and we have Adrenal Reaction, Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Egghead, Healing Factor, Marsupial, and Speed Demon. Well, Adrenal Reaction, and you could argue even the Eagle Eyes mutations, aren't necessary for this build. Like, we're not using low health per se, and we're not using vets to a degree where the extra critical damage would do us a great favor, but the extra perception is nice, and we still do lose some health in fights, so Adrenal Reaction is never a bad choice per se. As for Bird Bones, Eggheads, Marsupial, and Speed Demon, well, Speed Demon is necessary here. Marsupial is always a good choice. Egghead to counter the negatives from Marsupial. And Bird Bones, extra agility, good for sneaking. Well, what should I say? Onto the build itself. As you can see here, we do have rank 4 in strength. I used Bandolier, which, well, up to you. Both of them pretty much are convenience perks, so feel whatever you wanna use here. There's nothing you necessarily need. Sturdy Frame is an unusual choice. I just picked it because I do have the Chemist perk on, the Chemist backpack, so I'm not really needing the Traveling Pharmacy perk I'd usually use, and Bandolier I do have a lot of ammo. So furthermore, I do use 4 pieces of Scout armor, which I don't have mods for, so they're quite heavy. So Sturdy Frame was the way to go for me here, and Bandolier, which, well, obvious choice. I do have a lot of ammo, so I use that one. Feel free to pick whatever you like. Perception, well, our main damage comes from this here stat, Perception 13. 3 ranks of Rifleman, all maxed out. Tank Killer, we really wanted to go to get the feeling of the anti-material rifle, so armor penetration is nice, and with the semi-automatic receiver we even feel an impact on enemies from the staggering, so we can hit them often enough so they stagger, and it adds a bit more punch to your weapon, if you know what I mean. So concentrated fire, only rank 1. We only need this to target heads. We don't need the increased accuracy from every shot. So this is simply so we can target specific limbs. Onto endurance. only rank 4 life giver is enough here. We didn't really need fireproof because we are at high health, so we can tank an initial hit. So feel free to use whatever you like. Arguably, yeah, I mean, fireproof could be worth it. Convenience perks like Cola Nut or Good Doggy are never a bad choice, but I felt for the need to use Life Giver simply so we have a health pool that would be pretty much similar to rank 8 of Endurance or something. Lone Wanderer, well, pretty straightforward. We're going to play alone on this character, and rank 4 of Lone Wanderer is one of the most powerful perks in that case. Yeah, less damage, better AP refresh. What should I say? Just take Lone Wanderer if you're not in a team. Onto intelligence. This is a bit different again. Like Demo Expert, not really necessary here. It's just a tiny bit more damage to both our weapons, so I decided to use it. And on the other hand, you can even utilize some grenades here and there. Batteries included. In a perfect world, I would use rank 3 of Gunsmith rather than batteries included, simply because the build doesn't need it. It's just that I have a lot of energy ammo on me. So yeah, perfect world, rank 5 Demo Expert, rank 3 Gunsmith. Onto agility, we do have Action Boy, 3 ranks of Gunslinger, and Through Hiker. So if you don't need Through Hiker, there's a few choices you could use here. You could use Covert Operative, you could go more into stealth with the Sneak perk. I'd recommend rank 2 of Sneak and rank 1 of Escape Artist, but you can even argue that Adrenaline would be worth it, or Gun Fu. That's up to you. As always, Through Hiker is a convenience perk. Feel free to use whatever you like. You want that AP refresh and those 3 Gunslinger perks maxed out. That's really what you need for this build. Onto luck, Bloody Mass, Tormentor, and Starch Jeans. So Starch Jeans and Bloody Mass straightforward, extra damage and the ability to keep our mutations. And Tormentor, well, we really wanted to make use of that semi-automatic rifle we do have, and 50% chance to cripple a limb is nice. I failed to show that off earlier in the gameplay when I fought the Scorched Beast, but what you can do is you can target the wings, shoot them a few times, and the Scorched Beast will land sooner or later. And also, well, if you cripple a limb, enemies get into a stagger animation, so that further boosts our staggering from tank killer, so to speak. Well, yeah, that's it for the build today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm just going to go into photo mode once again to maybe get a good title card for the video. But once that's done, I'm going to end the video. So I hope you had fun here. I hope you enjoyed the build, and see you next time, guys.